Meteorologist Casey Cloud live with you on this Saturday evening, breaking in right now because we do have a thunderstorm, not a severe thunderstorm, not even a strong thunderstorm, but a thunderstorm that is causing a lightning delay at the FSU Clemson critical baseball game there in Tallahassee at Dick Howser Stadium. I know FSU is up 3-1 in the top of the 8th inning, and then it started to rain some there, and there were some mistakes being made. And now Clemson up 4-3 in the top 5 showdown on ESPN2, but it's now in a delay because lightning. There was a strike within about 2 miles there of the stadium, and now we have a few there just north of I-10. But when you're within 8 miles, the general rule over the years, at least, has been you have a 30-minute delay from the last lightning strike within 8 miles. So this is a situation that is looking pretty nasty here. I know that's more of a football rule in a way, because even if there's just rain, unlike in football, you can't, play through too much rain here in baseball, but in football you obviously can. We've seen it over the years, and honestly, I know that game years ago in football between Florida and Florida State comes to mind there in Tallahassee, where Florida got the win with Tim Tebow. His jersey was all dirty there, but in baseball you can't really play through the rain. It just becomes too slick there and the like, and obviously the lightning, the big storyline here. I know it's delayed a lot of Major League Baseball games tonight, like the Braves and the Dodgers, was just severe weather in that region up that way. And we do have a severe chance later on, but again, there's a lightning delay toward Tallahassee, where Clemson now is up 4-3 in a big baseball game. It could determine if FSU wins the ACC regular season, even FSU trying to win the series after walking things off last night. Could determine even if FSU is a super regional type of host, assuming they make it that far. If they're a top 8 seed, a game like this could determine that. So a lot on the line there. I don't want to put it all in one game, but there is a lot on the line. I mean, you still have a good way to go there in the season as we're looking at things. But again, there is a lightning delay. Let me go ahead and check some things here. We're going to kind of measure some informational details on our other source, because I can actually see where the stadium is and measure from that. So just bear with me here. I'm going to kind of do that. So let me switch sources right now. I'll show you guys where the stadium is. So we'll switch to the other source, and do you see the football stadium, and then where that red square is? That's where the baseball stadium is. And as we look to the north right now, we have a lightning strike that's about 6 miles away to the north. But I'll back this up. It may not. Well, you kind of saw it there, I think. That was about 4 miles away, the strike just north of the interstate there a few minutes ago. And then we even had one closer than that. That was 2 miles away there. It's 2.5. And this one here is what got them to delay it, I think. As I back it up to about, let's see here, about 8:15 or so on the time. So again, that strike was only about 1.5 miles away, 1.5 miles away from the stadium there. So again, that's a pretty big storyline with that developing in toward that area. Again, you could see that there pop up around 8:15 or so as we're looking, and now we have more of that toward the north. But again, just seeing that situation there evolve on us. You see there's a small tornado risk out toward the west formally. That might update the next run of things there with the Storm Prediction Center outlooks. But you can see here a marginal risk, 1 out of 5 here, and then toward the north, I know severe thunderstorm watch there in toward north central Georgia there, and you see even a tornado warning. Tornado warning in South Atlanta Metro right now. Some circulation there. This warning includes parts of Clayton and Henry counties there until 9 o'clock. So this is around the interstate there, the I-75 corridor. As we're looking at things there, you have some rotation around the Morrow community near Jonesboro in Georgia, moving east at 30 miles an hour. And we have to just keep watching, for severe weather in our area. No warning so far, but that could change as we look ahead here in toward the timeline. Another key factor, another reason I'm cutting in. We don't always cut in for delays in baseball, but this is such a big game. It's on ESPN2, all the way up on the ESPN2, a top 5 game there. And also we have graduation going on there. A graduation there going on at FSU tonight. Folks inside for that, but I know as we're kind of looking at things, as we're kind of tracking things here, toward Tallahassee. Folks could be getting out of that here in just a little bit. It's still going as of now. They have that live streaming over on YouTube. And I know that Florida State is kind of the last of the 6 graduation ceremonies over the last couple of days as we continue to stay FSU strong in the wake of what happened there, the terrible tragedy at the Student Union a little over 2 weeks ago. And I know there is, still graduation going with students walking across right now. They're on the Florida State YouTube account. You can watch that at Florida State. But again, just seeing the weather, there is some rain around, so folks getting out of that, or at least be encountering potentially some light rain. Hopefully that's the extent of it here, but we'll just have to continue to watch the radar trends because things could get pretty active later tonight, quite honestly. A little unusual here as we're kind of looking at the overall situation because you see some of the informational updates here with the watch toward the north there. You see the blue circle there, that's a mesoscale discussing from the Storm Prediction Center there in Norman, Oklahoma. And then as we go ahead and pull in some of the model guidance, I'm going to see if I can get some of the latest details here. So let me pull this in. We'll go to 9 o'clock. And that's what it was showing around 9 o'clock here. The HRRR. This is 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, midnight. You see things piling up by about 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4, 5, 6, 7. Some of these could be strong to severe even in the night to the morning. That could even be around dark here. That chance has gone up a little, but it's not a huge chance. Most of these probably will stay below severe limits, but we could have a rogue warning or two. It's not out of the question here as we're looking at things, as we're tracking things here. This is 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m., noon. We might get some more convection developing here afterward, but let me go ahead and go to the extended run. So I have to go back a little bit older data for that. I'll go to the extended run, which will get me, let's go to tomorrow afternoon or so with the extended run, and then I'll get in there. You see some convection developing here toward northeast Florida. It doesn't show a whole bunch, but see a little southeast Florida. There is a chance if we get an interaction here along the coast, we could get a quick spin-up tornado even. That's not out of the question. It may end up happening, even further toward east central Florida. That might be a little bit more likely down there, but we shall see because over the year this happened, it seems like, anyway, a little bit more than up in our area here, but it depends on where the overall setup is here with the boundary and the like. So, again, we do have a chance of some strong and severe storms. We don't have any severe or even really strong storms right now in our area, but we have to just remain alert. And, again, that lightning within 8 miles or so of the baseball stadium there in Tallahassee has caused a delay in that key game, number 3 Clemson, number 5 FSU, and unfortunately they're in a delay. They're in a delay there in toward Tallahassee. So again, just trying to give you guys the very latest. Let me see if there's any updates here in the last few minutes. I want to see if we have any details coming in here. I don't see anything yet, but I'm going to effort some more information here. Bear with me. Let me go ahead and keep looking as we continue to give you guys the latest update. I know reports of the TARP being out there in toward Tallahassee. I know there's some speculation on Twitter, and I'm not 100% sure what the rule is because they get really tricky in baseball, but there's some speculation that if they can't finish this whole inning here, then because FSU is leading after the last inning, FSU will revert back to winning the game, but I'm not 100% sure with that, especially with another game scheduled tomorrow. I would think they would just try to get the third game there in along with the end of the second one. So we shall see. But again, just continuing to watch the situation. I'd probably more apply if this was a situation where folks were trying to get back. The weekend time frame was running out, and folks were trying to get back there ahead of the week ahead. That Monday, though, I know classes are kind of now, a lot of places anyway, depending on, at FSU, I know exams are over with now, but I'm not sure what Clemson's schedule is there, and we'll have to watch for some weather tomorrow, but it may kind of clear out in time for Tallahassee for that afternoon, as we were showing you on that graphic there. So again, let me go ahead and keep looking here. Keep tracking. Yeah, they did have their exams already, so I don't know if that'd be that big of a rush to get back even. So I kind of doubt that would come into play. But you never know in baseball as we're looking at things. I mean, you see the rain around right now, and I don't think after already having it kind of get wet out there, they'd want to start back in a situation where there's rain around. It's maybe, the way all that. I know it's a lot of light rain, and they were trying to play through that earlier, but now I think it's starting to get out of hand a little bit. Where if it was football, it'd be one thing. They'd probably go to start back pretty quick. But in baseball, I don't know, because you see the back it up here, just kind of developed, as and intensified as it was coming across. The lightning did, right on the edge, and then now it's more about some of that rain coming in for a while. So this might be a pretty lengthy delay. I don't think we're going to stay with this, real long time, because this isn't football here, and it's not like, there may not be an end in sight here, but there also could be a window just to get a couple innings in, and you can go to clutter.com/radar for an interactive look at things when we're not on the air and the like there. But I know if there's severe weather, we'd be on, but there's no, stay on. There's no severe thunderstorm warning, no tornado warning in our area. There's a tornado warning in North Georgia. We'll say that again because I had some of those kind of pop up today, which is a bit surprising. I know there's a Braves baseball game scheduled up there, but that's been impacted against the Dodgers. But you see here, there wasn't much rotation at all in that tornado warning, quite honestly, on the one radar. Let me take the other. There must have been something tighter earlier on because I'm not seeing a whole bunch there. Okay, on the terminal, you can kind of see it developing there on Morrow on the terminal Doppler, and now it's really weakened as we go back to the current frame. So, while we're looking at this, I know the Braves don't play right in Atlanta. Let me go ahead and go to the Peachtree City radar here. There's a lot of advisories, a lot of lightning up there. These storms are much more robust than we have around our area right now. But again, we do have a small risk of some severe weather as we look ahead. Let me go ahead and check to see how the Braves are faring with their scheduling right now, if there's been any official updates on that. Okay, they just sent out a tweet on X there 15 minutes ago saying that they're continuing to monitor the weather and will provide updates as available. So I know the Kentucky Derby was also impacted by rain here, and they had just a lot of that kind of muddiness there, as you could kind of see on the broadcast there up in Louisville area. But again, as we go ahead and look at this, you see another tornado warning popping up on this line now. Okay, there's a little bit of a spin to the south right off the Peachtree City radar now. So you can kind of see there around the Brooks community, there's another possible tornado now in North Georgia. So again, multiple potential tornadoes up that way now. There's a severe thunderstorm watch, only a marginal risk of severe weather today up there, and we got a thunderstorm watch, which is a little unusual in that, not even a former tornado risk. The former tornado risk was from just west of Tallahassee out to the Panhandle, but we've got enough spin up here to cause some concern. You don't even get that many tornado warnings, this as we start to get into May a lot of times, but we're getting these rogue ones, in terms of the spins on the line. We got the one to drop off to the north that I didn't see much on, but now this one, could produce an EF0 type tornado. These are not strong tornadoes. It doesn't look like by any means that there is anything there. These would be like your EF0 type tornadoes. I mean, what I mean by that, and I know, it's still a big deal. Let's say something to be on the air and the like, but EF0 tornado is 65 to 85 mile-an-hour winds. So that's still, no worry. It could be a big problem if you're on the road or in a mobile home there, something like that. But again, just continuing to track all this here for you. In the weather center here tonight. Again, that is not impacting FSU, but we are seeing, that is still interesting nonetheless. And then you see the lightning that is impacting the overall complex of convection there, impacting the Braves game there against the Dodgers. Also, there's another weather delay on the Fox broadcast tonight. Baltimore, and I believe it's Kansas City. They were in a delay when I was looking earlier on at things. So let me go ahead and check. I have one of my other sources I'm going to check here. See if that's still in a delay up there in Baltimore, the Orioles and the Royals, as we're looking at things here, as we're tracking things. Okay, they're back underway now, so they were able to get that out of the area up there. They're in the third inning now, so bottom of the third inning, in fact. So that's what Fox is now showing to the country as we go ahead and continue to track the weather delay down south. As we're tracking the situation toward Tallahassee again, there's lightning, but now it's starting to become an issue here when we just have rain. It's just I don't think they want to clear things just for it to rain some more. Decisions can be tricky. I know. And last night in SEC baseball, I believe it was Tennessee started a game against Auburn. I want to say, up in Knoxville, and then they had to use their pitcher. And then they had got into a delay very quickly, a downpour. And I know FSU, Joey Bellini was doing good there until the weather started coming in. And now FSU might have to switch to their bullpen, which could be a real issue. Hopefully not. Hopefully they try their best there and can get it done and end up getting a couple runs to win the game as well. But it's going to make things tougher now, probably, you would think, for FSU. The weather just could end up costing FSU, the ACC regular season title and or top 8 seed here. We'll see. You got to, overcome adversity here if you're FSU. I don't want to make excuses for them, but it would be good if they had an indoor type of stadium eventually, but that cost a lot of money here if that were to happen one of these days, because this time of year we always have this problem. We got really, really lucky last year. Even though there were delays here a little bit, pushing start times back, they got really lucky for the regional and super regional rounds there last year. I don't think super regional even had a delay, but regional had a couple there to start, making the game start a little bit later, but they got really lucky. A lot of times you can have things start off at noon with a game and not until, it's happened before anyway, not until midnight with one game just because of the weather concerns. I did a story on that years ago when I was a student at FSU about that. It was I think it was against Arkansas, maybe, something like that. FSU Arkansas series years ago. The officials they were telling me about that one. But again, and they're now doing an update on ESPN2. It's coming down pretty hard. I'm not authorized to see the video of that. I know, but it's on ESPN2 right now. The weather delay continuing there. Very, very important game and a very important series. Bottom of the 8th inning, 1 out there, and the Tarps on the field. FSU had 8 hits to Clemson's 5, but Clemson has 4 runs to FSU's 3, and that's what matters, obviously. And they're reporting on the broadcast several lightning strikes in the area, and it, got, the action here really, delayed, and then, the one especially that I said to you guys, and then they're talking about how the rain's still just coming down, and not sure if it's going to restart tonight. So in the radar from AccuWeather on there, and I mean, it's showing what I'm showing you guys pretty much, that they're gonna, maybe have a tough time getting this one in tonight now. Very unfortunate situation there toward Tallahassee with the weather, but it is what it is. The weather, just gotta make sure we don't want folks, if they slip on the ground there, you can get injured. And there was some slipping going on for sure when Clemson got that lead there a few minutes ago. Now about 40 maybe minutes ago, give or take. But again, continuing to watch this situation here. I just did that real quick cut in on ESPN2, but again, just continuing to give you guys the very latest here. Let me go ahead and keep checking some details here. I'm going to try to pull up some cameras for you guys in that area, so bear with me. Let me go ahead and try to pull up some cameras here. Don't see any questions or comments right now. I know this is kind of a niche thing a little bit, FSU baseball, but this isn't just a midweek game here, where you're in February or March or something. This is this could define the season in some ways for FSU, at least the regular season. Once you get into the round of 64, it's a whole different ball game there. But again, as we're continuing to look here, Let me see if graduation's let out yet, because we can see some of the traffic cameras around there. Because the traffic will be a mess with even the light rain, the oils. I mean, it's a point that's worth making. You know, we haven't had all that much rain recently. I was out, you know, actually, I know, down toward Hampton today, and the grass there was really what we would call, I guess, just so dry. I mean, it was just crunching. I hadn't really seen it out there too much like that, and that's not what you want to see, because that can cause fire. And we had a fire up toward Lodi here in Bradford County, where I'm at, earlier today. So we really need the rain. No matter how it impacts baseball, the rain, we're going to have that here, because otherwise we're going to have wildfires like we haven't seen in a long time if we don't get this rain here very soon. But yeah, graduation's still going on there in toward Tallahassee. You know, they're inside, obviously, so I know it looked like a lot of folks on the road. I don't know if folks maybe are leaving early. Graduation and/or just the baseball game there. Hopefully nobody's leaving graduation early there. As I know the rules over the years, you're advised to go ahead and sit through everybody's name being called. But again, as we go ahead and look at across street at Stadium Drive, you can see quite a few cars there in the distance. With that slick condition on the road, those oils on the road, though, you know, if you don't have a lot of rain, they can start to make things slippery here when it mixes with them. The rain mixing with the oils, and that could get, folks are going too fast. That could cause, you know, accidents. Folks could lose control. So, got to be aware of that for sure. Let me go ahead and continue to look here at some of the different traffic camera views toward Tallahassee as we're on the air right now with this. Obviously, if we were like a TV station, we wouldn't be breaking into programming for something like this, but I think it's warranted based on just, you know, the importance of the game and the, you know, everything the FSU area has been through. This is very minor in comparison, but it's still worth noting here because it is on the weather side of things. So let's go ahead and look here, Pensacola Street there and Stadium Drive. You see quite a bit of traffic there right now, and those slick conditions here. You can see it looks, I mean, it didn't look all that fun. I know it's not ice. It's in January. It's not that big of a deal. You know, almost everybody will be all right here, but, you know, it only takes one accident. And then all of a sudden, you know, somebody has a really bad night on their hands. So, again, just continuing to give you guys the very latest here as we're tracking things toward Tallahassee. Let me go ahead and give you some more camera views here as we continue to watch that. Continue to track that. Again, trying to keep you up to date. Move away from this one right now. Try to give you guys the very latest details. Just the one-man bands. I'm trying to make sure I'm, you know, looking at everything the best I can here. We'll go over right by the Downriver Tucker Civic Center. Well, it looks like some folks may be out there directing traffic even. Pensacola Street and Railroad Avenue. Again, just trying to keep you informed on the situation, on the scenario here. See some folks out there, looks like in a rain jacket, but back there a little bit further back. Because when graduation gets out soon, there'll be a whole slew of vehicles here coming on out as we're looking and as we're tracking things here live on the air. So again, just trying to keep you up to date here on the developing situation here weather-wise. Definitely slick. You know, folks, got to be using extra precautions here. See a few folks look like a graduate there on the left side, so I'll have to see on the stream if it's already gotten out. Possibly. We'll go ahead and jump away from this here. I know I'm not able to see you. I don't want to. I'm not 100% sure if I'm able to. I mean, I can technically, you know, equipment-wise, but I know, I don't know if we're actually really able, we don't really necessarily have the rights to the graduation. They're different music and the like, and they're not that we would use that, but they're just still going on as I'm looking here at my internal view. That's over if you want to see the very end of it. President McCullough speaking right there, the last of the 6 graduations. It's over on youtube.com/@Florida State. So you can look at that there. So again, youtube.com/@Florida State, the last of the 6 FSU graduations. Remember, FAMU's had graduations as well, as we're looking at things. Here for sure. So let me go ahead and check, see when their graduation was. I may want to put some cameras over there as we're kind of checking things. Looks like 2 o'clock Saturday might have been the last one. Okay. Just trying to go through here real quick. At first glance, it looks like 2 o'clock Saturday was the last one there. Okay, so yeah, so that's good. At least that's not an issue, but yeah, there's just wrapping up. It looks like with President McCullough speaking there, graduation, the final one out of the 6 there for the spring commencement sequence. Congratulations to everybody there, class of 2025. I know this spring semester here, the last few weeks, they've been through a lot there with what transpired in the student union. And my thoughts and prayers go to everybody impacted as we continue to reiterate that, and we continue to watch the weather situation. Let me go ahead and see here what we're dealing with. I know, we'll go ahead and keep looking at some of the different traffic cameras in that area. Pensacola Street and Railroad Avenue. This is right there, right on that corner when you're maybe, you know, walking, you know, toward Tucker Civic Center and the like. So let's see, different folks out there trying to be in position to direct traffic to try to make things smoother, because, you know, it's a high flow of folks there as we're looking at things, and the conditions are now wet. You know, it's not severe, not tornadic, but there has been some lightning reported. And you got to be extra careful here. You start to see some vehicles become a little bit more prevalent here on the view. So again, let me go ahead and move away from that for a moment. See if there's any updates on the baseball game. Checking social media here. I don't see anything right now, but still in the bottom of the 8th there. I was there on a delay, but bottom of the 8th, 1 out, 1 on first base for FSU, down 4-3. FSU number 5, Clemson number 3. Let's take you to some more camera viewpoints here. We'll go to Dewey in Tennessee. Let me pull that one up here right now. This is over there. I know years ago now. I mean, folks would stay in a hotel that used to be there on that corner. It's now gone, but, you know, for graduation weekend, it was right there at campus, and that's all been torn out now, and you can see the wet roads. Really, I mean, you can really see the reflection of that. very clearly here, so it's definitely worth noting. Let me go ahead and keep watching things here. Keep tracking as we continue to give you guys the updates. Look at that slew of vehicles there. I'm sure it's going to pick up, though, in different parts of town in the coming minutes as we watch things, as we track things here in toward the weather center. But I'm going to go ahead and move off of this. Again, just trying to keep you up to date. We're here for you. Again, nothing severe. Now, that's a different story in North Georgia. Let me go ahead and bear with me here. I'm going to switch sources just to the banner writer. There's another tornado warning in North Georgia now. These are some weak spins, but they could produce an EF0 tornado, not out of the question. This is the terminal radar. This is their reports in Newton and Rockdale counties in Georgia. The Oak Hill community are 9 miles south of Conyers, moving east at about 30 miles an hour. So another tornado warning popping up there in toward North Georgia. So that's definitely worth noting as we go ahead and keep on looking. I do see there's been another SBC update now. So let's go ahead and get our sources switched over. We now have the marginal risk. We've seen a change here a little bit. So now the marginal risk gets all the way to Stark, all the way to parts of Duval County here, as I was alluding to during the night. And now there's even a small tornado risk. Now they've added all the way up north, where we have the ongoing tornado threat, and they've added it all the way across into north central Florida now. An isolated tornado cannot be ruled out all the way, very small chance, but it's not zero. So have multiple ways to get alerts overnight, all the way to Gainesville and Stark through McClenny. We haven't had this in a little while. It's a small risk, but it's not zero. All the way through Callahan, Kingsland there, into Brunswick. An isolated tornado could develop late in the overnight hours toward the east here, and it could be earlier in the overnight toward the west. So we have to stay on guard. Stay on guard here for sure in the weather center. There's your wind risk. There's your hail. There's your tornado. Again, that's the storyline there. As we're tracking things, as we're giving you guys the very latest here on the situation. Okay, we're getting an update on the FSU baseball game now. I know Atlanta Braves baseball game, they're still continuing to monitor the weather up there. Hopefully they can get that in. But ESPN2 now has in the corner that the game has been postponed. So at least if there's a statement out from FSU, if they've released a statement here in the last few moments. Okay, 2 minutes ago, they released a statement saying that due to continued inclement weather in the area, the conclusion of tonight's game has been postponed. The game will resume on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time with Game 3 of the series to begin shortly afterwards. So tonight's game has been postponed. So, again, just continuing to watch the situation there. As now for tonight, it has been postponed. So that's kind of the storyline there. The continued weather threat. You can see the rain just kind of starting to come on in now. Has caused things to be postponed there. So 1 o'clock tomorrow is when the game will resume, with Game 3 is scheduled to begin shortly afterwards. So at this point, it's not really all about the lightning. It's just too slick out there to be trying to play. And I'm going to go through the model guidance here, and then we're going to kind of look. You see Roy piling some action in. If it's this aggressive, we may start getting warnings eventually here as we get to like midnight, give or take. And then you see, this gets you to about 5 in the morning. You see some of that stuff toward north central Florida. It could be a busy night. It might be an all-nighter here in the weather center, having to track things in terms of even at least just being on standby, not being on the whole time, hopefully. But we'll have to watch here. And then as you see, it kind of cleared out there. Tallahassee, this shouldn't be a problem with getting the games in during the day tomorrow. The lightning you see is current lightning, that's not in the model, but that's just me leaving that up. But you see there's no rain in the picture tomorrow afternoon around Tallahassee. It doesn't look like. Now, let me get some convection to redevelop here. Let me go to a triple R, and we'll kind of back this on up. Again, the game has been postponed, the remainder of it, where FSU now trails 4-3 to Clemson. It's been postponed to tomorrow afternoon, but now this is like in the evening. You see more stuff toward like East Central Florida. I'll back it up a little. You can see this is around 3 o'clock. We have some stuff in North Central and Northeast Florida, but that's not Tallahassee, because I'm going in reverse. But yeah, they're going to be good probably for that game, and the other game tomorrow resumes tomorrow at 1 o'clock, and then the other game will be afterward, and I suspect they'll probably just be on the ACC Network Extra streaming. I doubt ESPN2 would pick that back up here. I don't know for sure. I don't know if they'd use FSU announcers, or if that same announcer would just finish it out on the app or what. But they're on that broadcast, and they had Devin Travis on there, former FSU baseball player and the brother of Jordan Travis, who announced his retirement from the NFL this year. And this week, he made that announcement, and that comes after that gruesome injury back in 2023 there. As that was just something that was just so sad there for him and the FSU community. But again, just continuing to look at things here. Let me go ahead and keep looking at the Doppler perspective. You see this tornado warning there in North Georgia. We're watching that. But let's get back down to the south here now. I know you see some of that stuff coming in from East Central Alabama, and some of that stuff's kind of trying to move eastwards. Some of our northern counties could get clipped by that. We'll have to see if some type of watch gets issued. I don't know if it would be a wide enough threat to do that, but may get some type of watch. Probably more like a mesoscale discussion where they say no, as they're just giving another update. They're coming back in one more time with the update on the baseball, that the game went into delay about 55 minutes ago or so, and it has officially been postponed for the evening. So that's what they're saying on the broadcast there. 1 Eastern, when the game will resume. FSU had the lead, and then unfortunately started getting wet, started getting slick there. FSU lost the lead, and then Lightning came in and delayed, and now FSU trails 4-3 in the bottom of the 8th inning, where they are 5 outs away, from, if they don't get any more runs, from losing that game. But they do have a guy on first base when it'll resume tomorrow at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So weather looks pretty good for that, at least, so that's good. You see this rest in the night. We're going to have to be on here, in terms of on top of things here. Hopefully not having to come on too much, but it's a possibility. As you see that risk there, that 1 out of 5, even tornado risk. We haven't had that around here in a while, but we have that here in the overnight hours. So have multiple ways to get alerts here as we're looking across our region, as the rain's still coming down at Dick Howser Stadium there. Mike Martin Field at Dick Howser Stadium, as we're looking at that view there. This is coming down, and it's pretty empty out there at this point. It's unfortunate that the game, couldn't get in there tonight. Okay, yeah, ACC Network Extra is where they're going to have that. So that's what they're saying on the broadcast, wrapping it up there in Tallahassee. So again, continuing to look at all this here. Some instability coming into play here. Some supercell composite, and even a little bit of significant tornado parameters. So you're going to have multiple ways to get alerts here overnight, as we're looking at. Not a big chance, but we haven't, had big, risk, and this isn't a big risk, but we have a small risk here going into the overnight and even early morning hours. So have multiple ways to get alerts here as we are tracking things. So again, just continuing to give you guys the latest updates here. Seeing how things transpire. With that rain coming on in. You see some of these areas in the blue picking up about an inch of rain, the light blue, an inch of rain in the last hour or so. Well, other areas not near that much, but Again, continuing to give you the updates. And now we do have a couple tornado warnings now in North Georgia again. These are all spinning on up. So hopefully that's not a sign of things to come for our area here, because this is really overachieving with a bunch of warnings from the Peachtree City office for potential weak tornadoes. So, again, just continuing to track everything here. Let me go ahead and check some more information. Again, trying to give you guys the latest here at 9:12 p.m. Again, monitoring the situation. Let me go ahead and check here. Graduation, still looks like they're in the final stages of that there for tonight. As we're monitoring things at FSU. So let me go ahead and see what we might have. Let's look at those temperatures here right now. 73 toward Tallahassee, 73 in Keystone, 77 Gainesville. As we're tracking things, as we're looking at things. So, again, just trying to give you the latest. Again, if you're just tuning in, the baseball game has been postponed, and that is going to finish with FSU now trailing 4-3 at 1 p.m. tomorrow in the bottom of the 8th inning. It'll only be, as far as I understand, ACC Network Extra. It'll be on the ACC Network Extra. It will not be available on ESPN2, as far as I understand at the moment. So, probably not available in any linear television. Again, just trying to keep you guys up to date. I think they're just wrapping graduation now, so that's going to really make, for a slippery ride home for some folks there on the road. It's not that big of a deal, but you still got to be aware of it, obviously. So let's go ahead and try to get some cameras up there right around the Donald R. Tucker Civic Center there. This could kind of get a little bit, busy here in the minutes to come. Folks are going to take their time getting out. Some, definitely will take a good while to get out, but others won't. As you see Pensacola Street and Railroad Avenue here, you see some folks with an umbrella there walking, and then you see just the overall scene there, with the police out to direct traffic, I presume, there, as we're looking at things, as we're tracking things at 9:14 p.m. on this Saturday, May 3rd, 2025. I'm going to keep looking at that. Let me go ahead and cut back on over here. And you know what I need to do? I need to pull up our coverage map here to remind you guys of the 62 counties here that we cover. Of course, we'll be on for any tornado warning storm within any of the 62 counties here. As we're looking at things, if that happens, we'll be on with the coverage, so stay tuned. We'll be on all the different platforms here, so make sure, stay weather aware. This could catch some folks off guard. Facebook KC Cloud WX, Facebook Cloud Weather, Twitter /X at Cloud KC, YouTube at Cloud Weather, Twitch Cloud Weather, and then you have the website with all the different links available, cloudweather.com. So again, just going to have to continue to monitor the scenario here. We're in Bradford County. We're watching things for all 62 counties here. We're just going to continue to stay on top of it, obviously. Continue to keep you guys informed as we stay FSU strong here in this situation. So let me go ahead and see where else we might want to go with this right now. So there's our one view. We do have now 3 tornado warnings in North Georgia. Let's go ahead and bounce over here. You don't see this, popping up. They're very weak. I mean, these are, goodness gracious, these are some weak tornado warnings, quite honestly. I mean, if you get a tornado with any of this, it's winds to probably only 85 miles an hour. I'm not seeing much there, quite honestly. Those are some of the weaker looking signatures I've seen for tornado warning. Now, if you go to the terminal radar, I kind of see why they did it, though. Because on the terminal radar, you see some spins with these. So they're not very, strong. I mean, if you add the numbers together, I mean, you're only seeing winds like 50. I mean, I got to wonder, there's been some reports of tornadoes touching down up there, because generally they wouldn't issue on stuff quite this week, I don't think. Let me go ahead and look at some different information. There must be some type of debris that's been indicated at some point or another in there, because these are some really, marginal type tornado warnings. We generally don't get tornado warnings for something this week up there unless there's been some confirmation at some point or another. To have that many of those on the board here, 3 different ones. I mean, one of them's for portions of Henry, Butt, Jasper, and Newton counties in parts of Georgia. They're to 945. We have another one for Newton and Rockdale to 945, and then you have Newton County there until about 945. So busy night on those Atlanta TV stations. I mean, granted, the Braves game that was supposed to be on has been delayed anyway, so that's not as big of a concern as you normally have. But they probably are interrupting NHL hockey, and that's probably going to be causing some folks some, I guess not. I don't know what's the right word here. Let's see. Probably some. They won't be happy with the meteorologists for interrupting their NHL Game 7 hockey game. But yeah, I mean, real quick here, just kind of curious to see what the comments are. Because that's just how it is sometimes when folks get upset when their programs get preempted, when maybe you don't expect a severe weather risk. It's kind of a tricky scenario. So I'm sure there's plenty of complaints, so that's probably the right wording to use there. There's now 4 tornado warnings up there, by the way, in North Georgia. I know they're interrupting NHL hockey playoffs game 7, but I know it's Chief Meteorologist Brad Nitch on that station, WSB ABC2, the FSU alumnus, and the former Jacksonville meteorologist there at both WTXT and even further back WTLV. So it's kind of telling that story there. I know the NHL, they're in the second period. Dallas and Colorado tied at 0. That's what they're interrupting. I'm sure it's just a situation where you got to be on the air, and let's go ahead and keep looking now at these. Again, 4 different tornado warnings east of Atlanta. By the way, I know, I was looking at old promotional videos here from years ago. I know we're stretching this a little because I want to go back to the traffic camera at FSU with the traffic there. And we'll go in just a second here with graduation and getting out. But I know Brad Nitz, the FSU alum there, the chief meteorologist at WSB Channel 2 in Atlanta. I remember seeing a commercial, looking back at some old tapes of mine. He used to, go to Orange Park High School. He graduated from there, actually. That was something that when he was at WDXT, they made a big deal about there. But he's up there in Atlanta now, the chief meteorologist, FSU grad, tracking things here with these tornado warnings east of Atlanta. He's doing that on WSB ABC 2 there. So let's go ahead and keep looking at some information. Gonna get back to those traffic cameras now down south. Let me go ahead and go over there now. This graduation should be over here at this point. Just bear with me. Let's go to Copeland Street and Pensacola Street here. You can see the slick road, some vehicles, starting to line up. Giving you guys the latest with that. Let's go to the intersection there where you'd expect more traffic. Well, you can see a lot of folks standing around, and some of them, not everybody, maybe kind of getting wet there. See on the right side of the screen, some folks standing around there now. Graduation just getting on out. Just hope everybody stays safe since it is at night here, and some reduced visibility. You see folks crossing the road there with these light rain conditions. There'll be a little lightning in the area here. They're not an overwhelming amount of lightning, but again, this was the last of the 6 graduations here, getting on out. But as we're looking at things, see quite a few vehicles there in toward this area. Again, congratulations to all the graduates there. FSU, I know it's been a tough last couple weeks. And see these slick conditions here. They're on the road. Again, FSU baseball has been postponed, and it will be finished up there. Game 2 tomorrow at 1 with FSU, unfortunately, for my nose, trailing 4-3 to Clemson. As they did win last night, though, on a walk-off in the 11th. So that was a positive there for the FSU family. FSU softball won the ACC regular season yesterday, and I believe today it was a no-hitter. I know they didn't give up any runs to Virginia Tech. Again, just seeing all the different graduates here, but the rain, this not too heavy, so that's the good news here. But again, you see that little bit of backup here. Let me keep checking some more views. Again, may have to cut in for, actual severe warnings in our area in the night, so stay tuned. We need to have multiple ways to get alerts. That is a 2% tornado risk for most of our area now. We, get that a lot overall, but we haven't had much of that lately. So this could kind of get folks off guard, especially in early May. Not something maybe you're thinking about. So have multiple ways to get alerts here overnight. Not expecting a tornado watch or anything like that to be issued, but let me go ahead and pull up the tips here for tornado warning. Tornado warning is issued. You want to seek shelter inside a sturdy building. You want to get as many walls between you and the outside as possible, and protect yourself from flying debris by putting on a bicycle helmet, football helmet, baseball helmet, something like that. A tornado watch is not going to probably be issued, but still have multiple ways to get alerts overnight, just to be safe across our 62 counties. And we'll be on any tornado warnings gets issued here, and even severe thunderstorm warnings probably breaking in for those as well, depending on where they are, how nasty the storms look. So, again, just continuing to give you guys the very latest here. You see in North Georgia, all these tornado warnings up there. One of these now west of Macon for Upson and Talbot counties. They're west central Georgia, including the Thomaston area of Georgia. And kind of just clips down, but north of Talbotton there. That goes to 10 o'clock. Some rotation along the line there. Again, continuing to give you guys the latest updates. Trying to see what's going on. I know that Atlanta Braves game delayed against the Dodgers. Try to hopefully, for their sake, get that in tonight, but we'll see. You see some storminess here. Just west of Liberty County now, so it's looking a little bit stronger. There's a big cluster of lightning all of a sudden with this here in Calhoun County. So we need to watch this here next little bit to see if this starts to, escalate a little bit further around Kennard, and that's going to be headed, into our area here soon. Well, some of that is from the satellite, and I have a feeling most of that is, and it is, but still, there's some uptick in lightning here. That may be overdoing it a little bit as satellite derived, but still, again, just something to be mindful of here as we're looking at the situation. So that'll be entering into our area here, and that could kind of head in the direction of Tallahassee, but there's still a good ways to go before that gets there. So that's the good news. Hopefully everybody be kind of in a better spot by then as we're looking at things, as we're tracking the overall situation. So. Checking to see what else is going on here with the weather. Let me go ahead and pull up some traffic cameras again. Let's go to Gaines Street and Railroad Avenue. Definitely see some of the flashing lights there in the distance. Hopefully that's just normal procedure there, but definitely, graduation and the enhanced security, all coupled with the rainfall. Can't ever be too careful as we're looking at things in the baseball game. So again, just have to be mindful of that as we're looking at the scenario here. This is just a little ways away from the Donald R. Tucker Civic Center. Some folks looks like graduate, maybe in their family, in the shot here, in the view. Again, trying to give you the latest updates. You can see the gas prices there on the view. As we go ahead and I'll move away from this. Just be careful on these slick roads is where I'm kind of going with this. As we continue to give you the latest. I think we're going to wrap it up here pretty soon, but I just wanted to kind of give you guys an update here on what's going on here with the overall weather situation. Definitely some of that rain, though, not fun to deal with, but not overwhelming right now. Let me see here. Let's check another view. Just checking a couple of things here in the Weather Center. That Baltimore baseball game still ongoing after it was delayed against Kansas City earlier. Major League Baseball. There is still a severe thunderstorm watching play, though. As you see some stuff there. It's off toward the west. We'll see if it tries to come back into the picture there in Maryland, in the area that's so populated around Baltimore. Again, trying to keep you up to date here. Let me see if there are any questions or comments. Yeah, report from AJ there watching on YouTube Light ran in Tallahassee around 9:15. So, yeah, that's kind of the storyline there. Definitely watching some of that indoor that area, but it's going to pick up as we look ahead, it seems here. So, that's going to make for a pretty wet night. We need the rain, though, as I've alluded to. We really, really need the rain. We just don't want lightning. We don't want severe weather. We don't want, tornadic activity. But we want the rain. We need the rain. Very badly need the rain. We're going to have a lot of problems here. A lot of problems as we look ahead here and toward the timeline. So. Just making sure there's nothing else we need to talk about before we wrap it up. Make sure, and this is kind of a baseball analogy, but make sure I cover all my bases here in the Weather Center before I wrap it on up. We may have to cut in during the night, so stay tuned. There's now 4 tornado warnings again up there north to central Georgia. So that's the storyline. One down here, Talbotton to Thomaston. 3 more up here, southeast of Atlanta. Kind of overachieving with those warnings on the board. So that's going to do it for now. We'll be back on as warranted, if warranted, for our local weather here for our 62 counties. So keep it tuned to Cloud Weather. We're going to stay FSU strong here, FSU United, as we get to the rest of that, weekend here with the baseball series and the graduation, just wrapping up the last one. Just hope everybody stays safe on the way home from now with those slick roads. Be very, very careful with those oils. If there's not been a lot of rain, which there hadn't been, those can mix here with that precip and cause some problems. So that's going to do it for now. Thanks so much for tuning in and trusting me. Stay safe. I'm meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center. Stay weather aware, and I'll be back here with more updates as conditions warrant.